Hi Deb, nice talking to you on the phone. This is my little palette that I've got out, and it's very much inspired by the colours that you had on your pattern. This was the original background. I'm trying not to get my shadows in it. This is the original background fabric that I talked about. It's actually a colour called Perle. It is a homespun, so it's only $7.50 a metre, which is really cheap, but it takes our embroideries really well. And what it does is take on the colouring of what you're putting against it. So it's what I would call an off creamy, sometimes a bit creamy yellow, sometimes a bit creamy pink. But when I've gone and put these mauves and purples and greys and things beside it, it then takes on the same shading as what's in that. So if you're after a cheap version for your background, I think that's a really good one. $7.50 a metre, so that's really good. Now, as you can see, I've started to pull lilacs and mauves, and this is a grey green and another slightly more greener one, and beautiful backdrops of creamies again and creamies again. Now, that's quite an old world palette, which is very much in line with what it was in the original pattern. When you open these out and you get bigger bits, there's birds and twirls and things like that. So if I open that out and lift it up this way, you'll have all different pieces in there with different florals and things like that, which is really pretty and old world. And again, when you look at the color of that beside that, see what I was talking about, it takes on really well whatever you sit beside it. So I think that would be a good background. And I'm not sure whether you're thinking of painting it or crayon colouring it, but it would take either and is a good option. So these are the fabrics I had out. That one is a twirly one, like I said. This one's a beautiful small scale floral with different flowers around the place. Then we go over to this lovely greeny one. Some lovely old floral prints on that. More grey green. I'm trying to keep my shadow out of it, sorry. Those little prints on that. When I'm picking fabrics, I like to prick different scales. So that's a small scale. That's a bit bigger, medium, back to small, and then that's quite large. So that adds a lot of interest to your quilt when you've got different sizes across it. Then we've got this beautiful chambray. You can see the extra grain in there. That's a chambray fabric, beautiful French chambray. All of these are from my French fabric range. They're all beautiful. And then this one here is slightly deeper, and again, sort of grayscales in its florals and things like that. That's beautiful. And back to our background. So that's the main basis there. I forget the number, but I think there's something like 17 fabrics in your quilt kit, and I think they all go together beautifully. In this line, I've then got some more greys. So again, some backgrounds that have got, I hope I didn't make you dizzy then, some backgrounds that have got the plain version of this in the greys. So that'll tie in with all these ones. There's a pinstripe, which is great for around those little weeny borders around the stitcheries. And then the purple background one again. A tone-on-tone one. So again, that's beautiful for using around the little frames around your stitcheries, all that sort of thing. So if you put those, they are all from the French range. And I hope you think they all go together beautifully. And they're very much like the colourings of what was in the original Teddy quilt. Now, I have this fabric, which I love. It's an old world reproduction-y floral. And it's sort of got that pinky grey purple. If I turned into the light a bit better to try and get true colouring of what it is. It's slightly more pinky than what it's showing in the backdrop there. All these colours are correct, but this is just slightly more pinky than what it's showing. And I think that, when I get it around with all of these, let me go, starts to lift the colourings there. Then I've got little fat quarter bundles that again have got your florals in old world and little ditzy prints. So you've got a big print a little ditzy print, and that will pick up on the purples and things and give you that little bit more colouring. So beautiful old world florals, lovely little ditzy prints, and they all go really nicely with all the tones we've got happening across here. Okay, then there's a couple more here. So again, that was that one I showed you on the roll, and there's a lovely wavy green that suits with it really nice. Another old world floral, and again, very similar. So again, if I put them up here, and I put these up here, I hope you would think that's a really nice palette of colourings that all goes together really well. Colours look beautiful. Now, if you wanted to stay at around that level, which is what the pattern sort of did, that's beautiful, lovely, and tonal. There's a couple in there that have got little ditzy prints, little stripe, that sort of thing in little fat quarter packs. And that would take you up to about your number of prints pretty quickly. What they do when they're doing the stitcheries is have a little thin lining, so little thin frame. So tone on tones is sort of that one, that again, if you use that sort of colouring, see how it's just going to put that little weeny peeper before your frame that goes around the stitchery, and that is a tone on tone with all different greens through it. That there is not as dark as what it's showing up in the photo. If I can just unravel that a bit, it's quite a yeah, that colouring's not showing correct in the photo, but it is the same green as, yeah, there it is, we're showing proper now. It's the same green that's happening in here. So it looks really nice. Looks really nice against these grey greens and against the mauves and purples. So I think you would find that would look really good as a little peeper, and then your stitcheries in here. Now, if you like that idea, and I'll just move that out of the road down here. If you imagine that your stitchery's on here, there's your little paper piece, and there's your florals, and they have different sized embroidery blocks, different sized florals. They rotate some of them around, all that sort of thing. So you would be looking at that type of thing. Again, you could do one of your other things. You could have something like this one as your little peeper, and then this one as the little binding floral, little binding strip in front of it, the little peeper. Now, I've got a layer of, so I'm going to put all them near that fabric there, and I've got a layer of thread colouring sitting here. I don't know whether you already own your embroidery threads. I use beautiful Perle threads. These ones are what I've pulled out that are in murky tones, because your palette here is lovely and murky. So I've brought those out here. Now, if you already own threads, that's fine. I just brought some out that suited the tones of the purples. These are blues and blue greens, so rather than going fresh greens and then our lighter purples, pinks. So you've got your teddy bears, your roses, your dresses, that sort of thing done. And if you have a look, there's some in your packet that have got some blues. So that was to replicate the little boy in his overalls and that sort of thing. Okay, I'm just going to stop it there for a moment so I don't run over time, and I'll put these up on the embroidery fabric. Okay, back soon.